And how much money did he get?
No one knows for sure. It looks like his companies over the years have received $30 to $40 million, $30 to $40 million.
From the U.S. government?
Yeah.
His company called eTrepid?
The first company was eTrepid. More recently, he operated through a couple of others. His first financier, as I mentioned, was this man, Warren Trepp, Michael Milken's former aide. The next financier was a woman named Idra Blixith, a billionaire, and she ended up funding him as well, and they had a company called Blixware offering the same product to the U.S. government, the same mysterious technology.
Now, you interviewed the former Homeland Security advisor, Frances Townsend. Explain what she said.
I reached her. She said it was classified. She was she was not willing to talk much about it in detail, but she confirmed this was, she knew about it. She remembered it distinctly. She had chaired the meetings, the daily meetings, to address the threats that came from this secret Al Jazeera decoding. And she said it had been eventually deemed uncredible. Her point, by the way, if I could, was that they had to take it seriously at the time. After all, they say, the CIA was telling it to them. You know, they would have been, you know, they would have been irresponsible had they not in some way acted on it.
So when did they figure out there was something wrong?
Some people knew immediately there was something wrong. I mean, most sensible people in the government, anybody who heard it, knew it was not the case. I quote some people in the article, former CIA officials. They were livid. They were just, there was almost a battle in these meetings where people who had street experience, field experience as officers were just livid. They knew this was impossible and stupid. But other people insisted they had to act on it, and they were protecting their source.
One CIA guy said, give me the algorithms. I want to reproduce what this guy is finding.
That was the issue. He wouldn't ever give, and since then he still hasn't, he wouldn't explain to anybody how he was doing this mysterious decoding.
So go from what the CIA was paying to the U.S. government to French intelligence and where they came into this.
Well, the reason they came in is because, if you'll remember, they were canceling British flights, they were canceling Mexican flights, and they were canceling French flights, among others. The French were impacted. Air France flights, Air France, I think it was Flight 68 and Flight 70, they were canceled repeatedly. Eventually, the agency had to tell the French. I mean, it was, of course, bizarre to keep on canceling some services. So, I mean, some plane flights and never say why, just saying, this is chatter, it's great intelligence. So finally, they had to say it. And of course, as I understand it, I think there was a little bit of embarrassment as people were relaying the information. But they eventually worked out a system, and I don't have the details. They protect this type of information very carefully. They're liaison relationships, they say. Eventually, they tried to recreate it. They commissioned the best firm they could find to see if there was anything to it, and they produced a very detailed report. Apparently, just said there was no way this was possible.
And even as he'd get thrown out of one agency, he'd go to another, as if there was no communication between U.S. government agencies, giving him millions of dollars.
That's what's intriguing. It really is. And he was selling, if I could, not just this technology, but other technology. He had systems he was selling to the Air Force and the U.S. Special Operations Command, where he claimed Predator video was coming. He could run it through his computer and immediately recognize a face of, say, Zarqawi or somebody else, or immediately recognize everybody who was carrying an AK-47. And his computer software could do that in real time. Which couldn't happen. And then he also claimed his software could detect submarines under the water if they were given a big picture of the ocean, things like this.
And you even interview someone who says he called me on his cell phone and said, hit this button to create a box around a video of a weapon as soon as I tell you to. Yeah,
former employees, they told this to the FBI, and they told it to me too. They sort of described this very elaborate charade where he would have these visitors from the federal government. He would try to show them how his software...
He would do demonstrations.
He would do demonstrations. Here's how my software will detect a bazooka. It would be like a toy fake bazooka. And, the idea was my software can detect anything you want it to detect. But they said, in fact, what was happening was when this bazooka showed up on the screen, they were hitting a button, and that would create a little circle around the bazooka. And he was claiming that his computer was recognizing the bazooka, which would be obviously valuable technology if that was the case.
Now, Aram Roston, you say that Montgomery got a contract with the Pentagon as late as January of this year. of 2009.
Yes, January 2009. It's indisputable that he got a contract for $3 million. The contract I have, the copy I have, is heavily redacted, but it's clear the Al Jazeera stuff was part of it. This Al Jazeera, encryption method and that technology was part of this. They were paid. His company was paid $2.5 million, it appears, on that contract by the U.S. government.
This year.
This year.
On Al Jazeera.
This whole Al Jazeera technology. His company was paid, and he was paid. He received money too, and it had to do. It's unclear exactly what it was for, but it seemed to have to do with that Al Jazeera stuff that has been. It's been knocked down, and it's obviously preposterous, and it was knocked down 6 years ago by the CIA.
Aram Roston is an investigative journalist. His latest piece for Playboy magazine is called "The Man Who Conned the Pentagon." This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. If you want a copy of today's show, you can go to our website at democracynow.org. There you can also get the transcript of today's full show and also see the video or listen to the audio podcast. We'll be back remembering Dennis Brutus, the famed South African poet and activist. Stay with us.
مين إرهابي؟ أنا إرهابي كيف إرهابي وأنا عايش ببلادي؟ مين إرهابي؟ أنت إرهابي ماكلني وأنا عايش ببلادي قتلني زي ما تلت أجدادي أجل القانون على الفاضي ما أنت يا عدو بتلعب دور الشاهد المحامي والقاضي علي قاضي نهايتي بادي حلمك انقل فوق معنى آلية حلمك لآلية تصير بالمقابر أخطرية ديمقراطية والله انكم ناسية من كثر ما اغتصبتوا النفس العربية حبلت ولدت ولد اسمه عملية انفجارية وهنا ديتنا إرهابية يعني ضربتني وبكيت سبقتني واشتكيت لما ذكرتك انك بديت نطيت وحكيت ما انتوا بتخلوا ولاد صغار يرموا حجار ما لهمش اهل يدبوهم بالدار ايش كنو نسيت انه سلاحك ضب الاهل تحت الحجار وهلا لما وجع الفار بتناديني ارهابي مين ارهابي؟ انا ارهابي كيف ارهابي وانا عايش في بلادي مين ارهابي؟ انت ارهابي ماكلني وانا عايش في بلادي ليش ارهابي؟ عشان دمي مش هادي حامي عشان رافع راسي وارض بلادي قتلوا حبايبي انا لحالي اهلي تشردوا.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting on over 800 stations.